Alright, so earlier today I tried to make a video about additional precautions that we could take during the pandemic and during other good times, right? There's nothing wrong with staying healthy even outside of a pandemic. But I think I used some sensitive words and YouTube removed the video, so I'll give it another try, this time avoiding all the sensitive words. So, early on in the pandemic, I made an observation that really made me concerned that the United States was probably going to have one of the worst outcomes during the crisis. See, the problem is that I've traveled to a lot of other countries, and here in the United States, we like to believe that if we have a bad health outcome, that it was completely outside of our control, right? It was bad luck, here, take this drug, take this surgical procedure. And we never like to be blamed for choices that we make in our lifestyle or our choice of eating habits or exercise. We don't like to blame ourselves for that. Right? We like to blame the lack of taking a prescription drug, the lack of various procedures, and then we need to mandate a bunch of these procedures. I hope this is not going to get me banned again. Okay, and so early on, the first day of the lockdown, I had gone to my favorite grocery store, and a bunch of unhealthy foods were sold out. Right? Everybody was fighting over the soda, the junk foods, the MSG-laden foods, the trans fat, the fatty foods. Everybody was fighting over that. And the healthy foods like the Larabar candy bar that I like, or the my favorite Amy's frozen dinners. Oh my God, nobody wanted that stuff, right? In fact, a lot of it was like marked down, right? Because nobody wanted to get it. And okay, so the beer aisle at the grocery store was a mess, right? Everybody grabbing beer, breaking bottles, and there's this huge mountain of Corona beer that nobody wanted, because they assumed that that's where the virus had come from, right? It was very ironic to see. Now, I thought we are done, right? If we didn't have a pandemic going into it, we're going to come out with all sorts of problems, right? And then I get out of the grocery store, I go to my favorite trail to take a walk, and the trail is packed because nobody could do anything else. And when I saw that dichotomy, everybody rushing into all the unhealthy and the healthy habits, it made me realize that by the end of this thing, we're going to be even more divided than we already are, right? We're going to have a big gap between the healthy and the unhealthy. And of course, people go home, they guzzle all the soda that they got at the grocery store, and then when they compromise their immune system, they get anything wrong, oh, it's not their fault. They just have to go to their doctor, get this injection, and all is good again, right? That's the American way, right? When I travel to overseas, especially to Taiwan and Asian cultures especially, it's not that way, right? A lot of people comment on other people's unhealthy lifestyles, right? 3 years ago when I went to Taiwan, I was still in the grips of binge eating disorder, and my family commented a lot about it. Even strangers that I met at the hostel commented a lot about my binge eating problems. Hey, it's too much, right? And it's a mixed bag, right? At the same time, when I'm binging, I really want to enjoy the binge, but at the same time, it opens our eyes to various other issues, right? See, in Taiwan, people actually, I would imagine during the pandemic, people have been a lot more cautious about their health. They were pretty cautious even before the pandemic, and I'm not going to comment on, but they're not. I'm not going to comment on the mandate, but they think it's also a mandate to also take care of your immune system by eating healthy, by getting exercise, by not engaging in unhealthy habits. And to them, that's almost like a mandate as well, right? Hopefully this is not going to get me banned. But that's not how we take it in the United States. In fact, here in the U.S., a lot of times, trying to lead a healthy lifestyle is going to get you kicked out of stuff. So 3 years ago, I went to apply for a job as a tutor for a tutoring agency. So the job would entail me going into the family's homes and working with them. So during the interview, we had gone to a local diner restaurant, and I had to ask about ingredients because I avoid sugar, and chemical additives. I have high-functioning autism, and that really helps me. And the interviewer asked me, you realize this is a job where you have to go to a family's home? I said, yeah, that's what I signed up for. And then the interviewer proceeded to ask me how I would handle it if families offered me food or I was sitting next to somebody eating. And I was kind of taken aback by that because I hadn't prepared that question. Not something you would think about preparing for a job interview at a tutoring agency, right? And I collected myself and I told the interviewer, I've been doing this for many years, and I've had dietary restrictions for many years, and I'm still healthy. I think we'll handle that as it comes. I didn't really want to go into detail. I just said we'll handle it as it comes, and I'm healthy and everything. And I've had these issues for a very long time, and I've tutored other people and gone to other people's homes for various other reasons, right? Which is how I feel about it, right? I'll handle it as it comes, right? It's impossible to imagine all the possibilities. Long story short, I didn't get the offer, and when I got the email saying I didn't get the offer, I thanked the interviewer again and all that, and I wanted to kind of bait the interviewer to tell me the real reason I didn't get hired. So I said, if it's if you're still concerned about the food allergy issue, why don't we talk about it? If the position's been filled and you want to talk about it later, shoot me an email. We'll talk about how I handled that. I didn't have time to answer you earlier today. Something to that effect. I was trying to bait him to say that's the reason he didn't hire me, because I knew it was, because the whole tone of the interview changed right after that moment. And he didn't answer. He didn't even reply to say it wasn't that reason, right? He just didn't respond to the email at all. Anyway, in Taiwan, it would never happen that way, right? Oh, that's very good that you watch your health, right? Sometimes they'll even ask you, do you have any suggestions for me, right? I also have, maybe I have a kid also with autism, right? Or some other issue that they need to refuse food. They often have a hard time socially doing that. In Taiwan, that's the attitude, right? Here in the US, we can abuse ourselves, and when there's anything wrong, we can take this drug, right? Now, the other attitude that I notice here in the US is that we don't like to care for each other's health. So even before the pandemic, I had to practice social distancing because I react very badly to milk products. Somebody's eating finger foods next to me, I got to social distance from them. People used to give me dirty stares, and they used to refuse to believe that would be a problem. That's the other issue, right? I would get on an airplane, and as soon as I would sit down, I would talk to the guy next to me, say hello, introduce myself, talk about our trips, and then I would say, by the way, during mealtime, could you please try to keep your food in your area? I react badly to various things. And usually people are pretty good about that, but once in a while, especially if you fly domestically here in the US, right? Once in a while you get somebody who just goes, it's not my problem, why should I care about you? Some people will literally say that. And keep in mind, we're on an airplane. If they cause any sort of emergency, that's going to bother themselves and everybody else on the airplane too, right? It's not like I'm at their house, right? If I go to their house and say that, yeah, maybe they could say, why'd you bother coming over here, right? That might make a little bit more sense, right? And so when I heard that we needed to social distance, and I thought about my experiences with the allergies, my first thought was good luck, right? Because when I travel overseas, I tend not to run into this problem. Sure enough, 2 years later, the U.S. could be better, right?